already, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our first edition of Purple Raiders Sitdown here on 91.1 WRMU. I'm your host, Jacob Buttar, and today I am here with the man in charge of running this Mountain Union football program, head coach Geoff Dartt. Coach, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Well, we'll just get right into it here with our first question. So, last season, Coach, the team returned to the Stag Bowl for the first time since 2018, and although the appearance resulted in a loss, it was still a season to remember. For you as well, Coach, this was your first time as a head coach bringing Mountain Union to the championship game. So my question is really, from this experience, what did you learn last season as a coach on what it takes to get to that game, and did you learn anything from your experience in the game itself?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, obviously proud of those players from last year. Some of them obviously coming back, but the guys that graduated, great leadership, guiding us to that national championship game, and obviously the coaching staff as well. So, yeah, I think getting back to there, which is obviously our standard and expectations, putting ourselves, winning the OAC championship and then grinding through the playoffs, we had the opportunity to win a national championship, and we played against a very well-coached, tough North Central team. And it was good, I believe, that we as coaches and the players, they got that feeling in them that they don't want to feel anymore. I believe that drove us throughout the offseason, and we had a great preseason camp, offensively, defensively, and special teams, a lot of competitiveness, which we want. We brought in a very strong recruiting class as well, and we're excited to get this 2023 football season going.
For sure. I think you speak for all fans right there. We are all excited to see what you guys have in store this year as well. And you kind of touched on it a little bit in that answer, but really, how have you seen this team respond to the loss throughout the offseason, the loss from the Stag Bowl in particular? How have you seen them kind of respond from that?
They tasted it, right? And many of the guys on the roster from last year were not even a part of that 2018 team that was in the Stag Bowl. So there was a lot of unknown in terms of that, but getting there, feeling that, although yes, we lost, and that's obviously not the outcome that we want, them feeling that, I believe, drove the five captains that were voted after this spring season, and they did a great job leading in the spring, and they've done an outstanding job of leading us so far this fall.
For sure. And one of those captains, Wayne Ruby Jr., he had an incredible season last year where he broke numerous school records, and many, including myself, thought there was a strong possibility that he might leave for the NFL or another pro league. So really my question here, Coach, is when he chose to return for another season, how excited were you and the rest of the coaching staff, and were you surprised at all by his decision?
Yeah, Wayne is a man, and, you hear a lot of head coaches talk, maybe older than me, that talk about, the guys on their team as kids, but we have young men and men on our team, and we left that up to Wayne and his family. We gave him, some information that we thought was useful with, at the time, Kyle Miller and Junior Collins were on our staff, who both had opportunities in the NFL, and I would have been excited either way, but obviously it's really nice to have Wayne back, and we're going to take full advantage of that. And along with the other guys that came back and chose to take advantage of their extra year of football due to COVID.
Yeah, for sure. And that actually leads into this next question that I have here for you, Coach. So not just Wayne, but players such as Braxton, DeAndre Parker, Mason McMillan, Duke Hill, and many more chose to return for another shot at that Stag Bowl. You guys obviously have high expectations every season. So in terms of those expectations, do you feel it's any easier for your group to manage these high expectations since they've done it before with all their experience?
I would say yes, to an extent. And I've been asked this, many different times, about our standards and expectations. They are extremely high, right? This is the 30th anniversary of the first national championship season, and the pressure's always on. But where else would you want to coach and play football at where the standard and expectations are so high? And we're never going to deviate from those, because I believe when that happens, you could lose the program. So first and foremost, we want to grind through our OAC schedule, give us an opportunity to get into the playoffs, which I think the OAC is becoming one of the better conferences, if it, not that it wasn't before, but from top to bottom, that is going to challenge you on a week in and week out basis. And I told the other head coaches in the OAC during our meeting in the spring and the summer that we are absolutely prepared through the grind of the OAC schedule.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a grind. Teams such as Baldwin Wallace, John Carroll, and many others, they will definitely give that challenge. So love that answer right there, Coach. But you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, too, with training camp. It wrapped up earlier this month, and practices have been steady throughout since. Have you liked what you've seen so far, and have there really been any surprises?
Yes. Love the energy that we've had. Like I mentioned before, we have a great freshman recruiting class. Those guys are starting to flash as they're starting to understand the installs from an offensive and a defensive standpoint, and along with special teams. I believe, we did graduate some guys on defense in the secondary, and those men that we've identified that they have the opportunity to step in some elevated roles, they have absolutely taken advantage of that. And then we have some holes that we always got to fill in those, three phases of the game. But the guys that have been given those opportunities are most definitely taking advantage of them right now.
For sure. Love to hear that. And taking a look now at this week, you guys are all traveling up to Defiance, a team you beat in the opener last year. Now, is there anything that you are looking for in particular out of the group this week?
Great alignment, assignment, stance, technique, effort. Those are the 5 things that we always focus on: offense, defense, and special teams. But overall, I want our effort to be high and executing at an efficient rate.
For sure. And we're actually here to the last question now, Coach. So the last question I have here for you is a fun one. So you've obviously been a part of many games here at the University of Mount Union as a head and assistant coach and as a player. So I'm just curious, is there any game in particular that stands out to you as really your favorite that you've been a part of all time?
Yes, my simple answer, and I've had this question before, my 2 most favorite games were being an assistant coach on Larry Karras's last national championship in 2012, and then being the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach on Vince Karras's first national championship in 2015. As far as a player, there were many great games that I had the opportunity to be a part of, but I think overall it's those 2 games that stick out in my mind as a player or a coach.
Yeah, for sure. A big part of Mount Union history. Again, thank you, Coach, for stopping by, and best of luck to you and the team this season.
Thanks. Go Raiders.
Thank you all for listening to this first edition of Purple Raiders Sit Down here on 91.1 WRMU. We are just moments away from kickoff.